I'm Luis Fraga, the director of the Institute for Latino Studies, and we were very pleased this past summer to have a new initiative in Puerto Rico to allow students to spend 8 weeks, was it 8 weeks? 8 weeks this summer in collaboration with the Universidad de Sagrado Corazón. The reason that all happened is because of Professor Maricel Moreno from our Department of Romance Languages, who has been heading an initiative to better understand Puerto Rico, listening to Puerto Rico all last year, I believe. She helped guide us to developing the program and the relationship. So I'm going to turn it over to Professor Maricel Moreno and the students who are going to speak. Thank you, Maricel.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope you're enjoying the food. It's pan-Latino food. We have food from Mexico, from Venezuela, from El Salvador represented. So anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank the panelists, and quickly we're going to be going through, one by one, so you can tell us the public your names and what your majors are, etc. But before that, I do want to thank Luis Fraga, the director of the Institute for Latino Studies. I want to thank Paloma Garcia Lopez, who was also critical in helping establish this new program that we just launched this last summer in Puerto Rico. And like Luis mentioned, this program somewhat emerged out of the Listening to Puerto Rico initiative that we launched last year to create awareness about the impact of Hurricane Maria on the island. And this is one of the a couple of key projects that emerged out of that. The interest in sending Notre Dame students there. So we couldn't have done it without the immense support of ILS. So I'm really, really grateful for that, and I hope that we can continue in the future. So this opportunity was actually 7 weeks. The first 3 weeks, the students spent taking a course at the University of Sagrado Corazón. That course was designed specifically for this opportunity and had to do with sustainability and community innovation. Again, all of it in the wake of Hurricane Maria and how Puerto Rico has dealt with recovery efforts. Sorry, we got here. You can.
Perfect.
Okay. And after 3 weeks of taking a course, they did like volunteering for 4 weeks with a couple of nonprofits in the area where Sagrado is. And these nonprofits, they're going to be telling you more about it. So maybe what I'll do is that I'll just let them introduce themselves briefly, and then they will talk to you because you're here to listen to them, not to me. So anyway, I want to thank you for all the amazing work that you did this summer. We do have a couple of our panelists who have to take a test, so they will be leaving sharply at 6, and we wish them the best of luck in your test. And thank you for taking the time to be here right before your test. So starting over here, if you want your name and your major, etc.
Everything, just the entire show?
No, just a couple things.
Okay. Hi, I'm Vaishali. I'm a senior neuroscience major, the minor in national development. For the summer, I know she said not everything, but I'm excited to talk about it. So for the summer, me and Annie and Mary Grace, we worked at a clinic called Health for Med, and it was a great summer, and I think it was great because the people were very accommodating about my learning level of Spanish, and B, were very helpful in helping me gather data about diabetes and how people manage it.
So that was very brief. That's perfect. So we're gonna go like that, get to everyone, and then the question is for all of you. Like, if you can elaborate on the lessons you learned, through this experience, personally, professionally, did it have an impact in your life? In the background, you will notice that we have a slideshow going on. These are some of the pictures that they share with us throughout their time there, but also includes screenshots of some of the projects that they produced at the end of this opportunity, because they had to produce projects at the end that they presented in front of faculty at Sagrado and community partners at Sagrado and students. So they did a magnificent job in those presentations, which were in Spanish. So anyways, next.
Hi, my name is Lorena. I'm a sophomore biology and Latino studies major. And when I was in Puerto Rico, I worked on a water quality project with Alejandra. She's currently studying in Puebla, so she's not here with us. And we tried to find out the connection between the water quality in terms of the running canal through the area at Caño Martín Peña, and whether or not there might be potable water contamination.
Hi, I'm Annie. I'm a sophomore and I'm a bio and Spanish major. Like what Shelly said, I was in the clinic with Paris. We kind of worked on like public health with asthma and then also her project on diabetes. And it was just a really fun summer. We learned so much and people were all so nice about our projects and everything. So I really recommend it.
Diego, I'm a junior political science and economics major with a minor in Latino studies. Over the summer, I worked with these two lovely people to my left on a project that's basically we created an after-school guide for the high schoolers at this community organization called Enlace, and I'll let them elaborate a little more on it.
Thank you. I'm Amber. I'm a senior studying international economics and peace studies. So I was working with them for like sort of a curriculum design. The after-school program that we did was sort of trying to combine like a service learning requirement with like teaching them principles of entrepreneurship, because we were working with the economic development part of the organization. So it was really good for me like to sort of take some of the things I've learned from my classes on like social entrepreneurship and poverty studies, apply it to this curriculum.
And hi, I'm Tim. I'm a senior political science major, and I certainly have a lot of things to say about the project that we produced on entrepreneurship for the school we were working with. For me personally, the summer in Puerto Rico was such a wonderful adventure. I actually finished a semester in Puebla, Mexico, 3 weeks before departing, and then headed down to Puerto Rico. So for me personally, it's very interesting kind of comparing those contexts and also kind of encountering places where my Mexican Spanish did not line up with Puerto Rican Spanish. The first time that my roommate used the word habichuelas, I was like, what are you talking about? Then beans, or I was in Mexico, you say frijoles. So interesting, yeah.
All right, so you can go in order, or jump in whatever order you want. You can talk about lessons learned. Tell them why they should, consider the program. How did it connect to your academic interests? Anything like that. It's just, like I said, pretty laid back.
Popcorn style?
I like it. It's Annie and Lorena.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. So I think that this program is very much, they'll find something for you to do project-wise after the 3-week class that fits your interests. Like, for example, the 3 of them, well, Mary Grace isn't here, but 3 of us went to work at a health clinic. Myself and another girl, we did medical-related research, and the others worked on education. So honestly, like, Enlace, like, one of the community organizations that we primarily worked with, has so many different branches, so that whatever you want to do, they'll find something for you, and you can like make a project in there. So I think it's a very good opportunity for anyone who like has an idea that they want to start something, want to work under the guidance of someone else, to make sure that it can happen and go through.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Just like building off of that, it's a really interesting give and take between, or was an interesting give and take between us and the organizations we worked with. Just because we obviously went down, with our own professional goals and backgrounds, and we're looking for a meaningful work experience. And they, obviously had needs that they had identified with the communities that they serve. So we had to find a match somehow between where we were coming from and the needs that they had identified. And we had to put in a lot of work on the front end of our projects to make sure that the work we were doing would ultimately contribute to their efforts. Like we very much did not want it to just be an experience where we get to the end of the summer and they're like, thank you so much for being here, but it's what we produce wouldn't be of use to them. We wanted to make sure that our work integrated well with their ongoing projects and mission.
Yeah, it's a good experience because it fits so much into like what we want to do educationally, professionally, and then also just kind of learning a new place and being really immersed in that. Like we stayed in the dorms at Sagrada, so we got to meet a lot of our Puerto Rican friends there, which was really great. And we only had class about 3 hours a day at that point, so we could just go around and explore Puerto Rico and really learn more about it, practice our Spanish. And then after that, being in the communities, it was great to like establish that work relationship with our bosses and just work towards our professional goals, just being in clinics for pre-med or working with kids and with econ. So it was just a good combination of a lot of different aspects of what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and I think, especially knowing that when we were, those of us that were in LASE, we were doing something that we were explicitly, they had in mind something that they had wanted to do for a long time. At least with our project, there have been complaints for a long time from the people in the community that they didn't believe that their tap water was of good quality, that when they opened the tap, that it would immediately come out copper-colored water. And no one had done anything for years. They had been asking about it. They had been saying, can someone please test this? And nothing happened. And so when we were there and we were talking, we conducted interviews with some of these people in the community, and we kind of put together a paper that they could use as a grant proposal to get funding to be able to actually look into this problem and get it fixed, because we know, based on previous studies, that the area has a higher prevalence of gastrointestinal illness because of the flooding from the local waterway that we know has pathogens from contaminated wastewater. So just being there and knowing that we were doing something that the community had been asking for and had been needing, and that we could bring what we knew and also learn from them was really incredible.
Could you elaborate a little bit of what has happened since you left? I mean, weren't they going to send samples to Notre Dame?
So what we did, our research was very much a background research on the topic and making that connection between how we could possibly link, the known contamination in the local waterway and what we're seeing at the taps and people's actual households. So now what we're trying to do is there's a class that's conducted at Sagrado every year, and they take samples of the water in the waterway. This year, I work with a professor here in the lab, and she works with a bacteria called Pseudomonas. Since 2015, they've detected that bacteria in the water in the waterway, and so we're going to try and, along with getting samples from that this year, we're going to try and get samples from some of the households and bring them to Notre Dame and create a genomic library so we can see if there's any possibility of antibiotic resistance or anything else that would be problematic that could potentially be leading to some of this high prevalence of gastrointestinal illness that we're seeing in this community.
And I just want to add that the work that you've done for Enlace this summer is really very important, because this is a nonprofit that has been struggling for years to convince the local Puerto Rican government to conduct this test, because the people in the area are suffering from diseases related to the quality of the water. And so it's a great way to bridge the expertise here at Notre Dame and the needs of and the resources that the organization already has in place, to try to combine them and produce something that hopefully will have a concrete impact on the lives of the people in these very poor communities, because this is a very underprivileged area of San Juan.
And speaking to that, going in, I think my biggest part of Puerto Rico was the fact that it's so rich in culture. It's incredibly rich in culture. Wherever you turn around, you would see, for example, we saw this beautifully painted flag of Puerto Rico on tree roots hanging from a thing, or on a lamppost by a bus stop, or anywhere else. The people themselves, despite being from those neighborhoods, their personalities were so driven and at the same time so laid back. It made me wonder, how can a person be so driven and like wanting to do more for themselves in the community, at the same time like so laid back. Like anytime I have a meeting, like it would start late, like it would never start on time, and they joke you're on island time, or like whenever we dress like very professionally, they were surprised we did that the first time we went to the clinic, and they were like, yeah, you could wear scrubs, like yeah, it's fine, like. They were more worried about like the quality of what we were doing and how it's going to like impact the people. So I think working in those neighborhoods, like going in, we were apprehensive because we're Americans, and honestly, they have every right to hate us. We're like these students coming from a university with no background, with almost a stuttering sense of Spanish as a language. And I'm going to this clinic, and I'm like, I want to know so much more about how they manage diabetes. What have they been doing? Like, what is their education system like? What is the population demographic of those neighborhoods? And like, I have all these questions, and they have every right to be annoyed at me, but not once did we get that sense of annoyance. On the first day when Annie, me, and Mary, we presented our proposal of what we plan to do there for the summer. I'm not talking, I assume we were working with like maybe some nurses, maybe some doctors, but we had like the director of the clinic and like the head of the nurse and like the head of doctors at that table with me, and they were like sitting there helping me brainstorm, okay, what's the best way we can help you get access to patients without like hindering patients, hindering doctors, hindering the nurses. They helped me brainstorm at the same table. Not once did I feel like I was being talked down to, but like talked with. And that sense of professionalism and humbleness and drive, and at the same time a sense of being laid back, it was so unique that I almost say it's like very unique to Puerto Rico as a culture, and I have not seen in the States.
So that actually makes me think of a very similar story. Do either of you want to mention the time we got kidnapped by a Puerto Rican grandma?
Let's talk about what happens in my life.
So first I should say, like, I think that's a fun way to describe it, but I texted that to my parents, and they were like, oh my god. We, as part of our project, building this program for a San Juan high school, did some interviews with a teacher and with several students who attended this school, trying to get a sense of what life is like at the school, kind of what their interests are, so that we could custom build the program for their interests to make it culturally authentic and authentic for them as kids. And our teacher interview was on, I think, our third day or something like that, working on this project. We were scheduled for a 10 a.m. interview, and it was so helpful and so interesting. And the lady we were interviewing was just like the most amazing educator, so dedicated to her students. And we got done with the interview, and she was like, "Do you want to go visit the school?" I'm like, we were like, okay. Like, and so we just went on an adventure, walked through the school, like met some of the students. She was telling us stories the entire time. After that, she took us to lunch at a restaurant that she loves. By this point, we have been with this lady for many hours. Our boss calls her, and he's like, where did they go? And she was like, I kidnapped them. And we were like, that's cute. But it was just so lovely. Like, she, had just met us. We were new to the island, and our understanding of the issues there was very minimal. And yet she just brought us into her life and, introduced us in that span of a couple of hours to the school, as well as to kind of the hospitality on the island. So that was just a defining experience right at the start of our project.
Does anyone have any questions for us? No.
Who hasn't spoken yet?
There you go.
Alright, so as he said, that was probably one great day at work because I didn't work, and but just going off that, it was just like such a great experience to see somebody be that open and that helpful. And the students were the exact same way. Like, most of the times you see students who are like super shy, won't tell you anything. And we needed their feedback to see if our project could even be implemented, if the kids would even want to join something like this. And there was just this one kid who was just so bright. He looked like he was 10. And he just came in and told us our project's idea sucked. I was like, man, they were like, this is entrepreneurship, this is what you need, this is like something that will help you do your community service hours and stuff like that. And he was just like, nobody will go to it, like, it's not fun. And so basically, like, that type of feedback right there from like a 10-year-old. I don't think he was 10, was he? Like,
No, he was 14.
14. He looked 10. He looked 10. So, but this kid just like that type of feedback at that such a young age, and he articulated it very well. Then your project just sucks. I just narrowed it down to that. But basically, just like that type of feedback is something that's very important. That type of like way to like just express yourself and not be fearful. And it also taught me like a valuable lesson that you might think your idea is like amazing, it's great, it's gonna work. At the same time, if it can't be implemented, why even do it? So we went back to the drawing board, brought some like more fun ideas that can attract like ninth graders to this type of project, and it really just taught me a valuable lesson in communicating ideas and making something manifest out of them.
Yeah, I think that's a really like important professional skill is like being able to adapt, to the needs and like also like the desires of the people you're serving or like the people you're catering whatever product or service to. So that was really important. And we made a lot of like changes throughout the process. Meeting with students, we made changes after meeting with people who do similar programs like violence prevention programs too. So I think in the end we had a really a great project, and like it was like super like valuable for me like working in that like professional setting like on a team and working in Spanish. I think if like this is now like my second like opportunity like working with like a community organization in Spanish, and I feel like I have the confidence like if I can do this like I can like do this sort of work in almost any like setting. Yeah.
Kind of going off that note, I'm only an intermediate 1 in Spanish. I can't type or write for nothing in Spanish, but I was still able to help them write like what was it? Ended up being like 50 page proposal / guide that they can implement after school. So it's just like it's such a great opportunity to learn Spanish and help can make your Spanish stronger as well. You get a place to practice it, and you get a place to write it, and you get a place to attach your passions too, because these opportunities that they give you in this program cater to your interests. Like we had like 3 different projects, but at the end of the day they had several different opportunities that we could have gone off as well. So if you're looking into it, they cater to what you want to do in that place, and that's just a great idea. That's just a great thing as a whole.
Also, as a fun fact, this is completely irrelevant, but I love sharing the story. Annie and I were in the same plane, and along with having a really fun like air passenger crowd and like the air hostess crowd and all of us, the entire plane, along with the cast, along with the staff, all sang Preciosa as the plane landed in Puerto Rico, and I promise you that moment was magical. So good. Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you or Annie want to talk a little bit about the projects you did with the children, like in the clinic? Just say a little more. I mean, we're kind of showing on and off in some slides that present some of the products that you came up with.
Yeah, this is kind of another lesson on adapting too, because Mary Grace and I went in, like, didn't really know what our project would be, because Vaishali had her diabetes project, and we were just, we want to do something in the clinic. So we talked to our boss there, who was so nice and helpful, and she said that it was their month of asthma awareness. So we decided to help them make like educational materials that could be helpful to her. So we spread them around the clinic, and then had a workshop for little kids, which was so fun, and we just got to like play with them and talk to their parents about asthma and how to deal with that. And then, so it was a really good experience just being in the clinic if you're interested in that kind of setting, and also with working with other people, and everyone was just so nice there. Like, it was crazy. You would walk down the hallway and everyone would like say hi and tell you to have a good meal if you're going to lunch. Like, it's just a welcomeness that I've never seen here even.
And with like the project, it's like you as they're making the workshops and like making educative materials, you gotta understand it's the people who are like leading really busy lives. So we had to like keep adapting as an event. Like, how do we make this as attractive as possible to parents, also to kids, to like old parents who are babysitting their kids who brought them to the clinics, like altering the project as the event depending on like what population we were facing that day or in that moment. It was interesting. And the diabetes project too?
Sure. I mean, whatever. If you want to share anything.
Yeah. So I didn't know much about ILS. I needed like cool staff, I needed cool students, I needed a cool space and great food. But that was my understanding of ILS. And then I'm an international development studies minor, and I knew I wanted to run a project in Puerto Rico, but I didn't know how to make the local connections. And I personally believe, along with like, the rest of these guys, about like you can't go in wanting to do a project like they said that has like no impact and that has no local community partner involved in it. At that point, you're not doing a project; you're just satisfying your own needs. So I went here and I talked to Professor Moreno and like Ms. Paloma about like how do I make this connection work? And they were like, "So, fun fact, we have a program. You should join our program." And I was like, "Sure, I'm hearing connections that can be made." And through them, I managed to connect with Sagrado Corazon, and they connected me and Annie and Mary Grace with Health Promed. My project was to look at how diabetes has been managed in Puerto Rico so far. Diabetes is a chronic disease. It's something that a person has to live in and day out. So how do you mix that understanding in a place that has one of the highest rates of diabetes, and you mix that also with understanding that that population is transient. People are always moving in, moving out. They don't have consistent care. So I want to know what are common daily self-management practices in a low-resource community, and what is their understanding of diabetes, essentially. So with Annie and Mary Grace's very insightful help and help from local students at Sagrado, who also helped me like go over my transcripts, and help from nurses, I managed to interview 56 individuals who told me basically about since when have they had diabetes, what they think caused diabetes, what are their daily practices like, and I'm now analyzing that data with the hope of seeing if there's like a gender influence, and also if there's a difference based on where the population's from, so like if they're from Puerto Rico, or if they're from the Dominican Republic, because that neighborhood, which I didn't know going in, also had a sizable Dominican Republican population in those neighborhoods. So yeah, it was
Mostly undocumented.
Yes, yes.
Very poor. Any questions from the audience?
Question right behind you.
Sorry, Diego was?
Yeah.
You're saying that your intermediate Spanish 1 is the level you came in, or you're at right now, right?
Yeah.
How intimidating was that for you? Was it at all?
I mean, kind of. Like, I know my Spanish isn't that great, but like I did grow up speaking it, so I did have like a little bit of an advantage there,
Right.
and like it would come back to me. But at the same time, writing it, I was kind of like I've never written in Spanish before, barely read in Spanish and stuff like that. So it's a little intimidating, but at the same time, it's a learning process. That's the best way to probably learn a language, to be immersed in it as well. And I know Vacheli has some more things to talk about this. Yeah.
I do. So Spanish is like my fifth language. It's not my first. It's not my second. So like I was like intimidated. You know how like when you speak English in the States, it's not your first language. Hate to say this about America, but as Americans, we're kind of mean. If someone like says something wrong or like speaks kind of funny, our first reaction is to laugh at it or like, you know, joke about it in a moment. Hopefully joke with the person, not at the person. And then you'll probably be like, yeah, that's how you say it. But when I spoke Spanish, because when I went and people told me, yeah, people speak English and Spanish, that's a lie. Thankfully, they only spoke Spanish because it's such a pretty language and I loved it. But not once did I feel like I was like being talked down to. People when I spoke Spanish, they understood me. They understood the sentiment behind it. And then like they would repeat the sentence, probably the correction, but not the intention of correcting me, but more of like learning as I go kind of thing. And I realized how much more language is for communication than just for like anything else, because I realized that when I made mistakes, I just went with it, and like I genuinely learned so much. I loved it. Yeah.
Who's going back to Puerto Rico?
Wish I could. Hopefully.
I know Mary Grace, who's not here because of sports practice conflict. She wants to write a senior thesis related to some of the things she learned, and she wants to go back and do research there. So at least I know one.
Where did you live when you were there?
We were in the dorm in Sagrado Corazon. So we stayed.
What were they like?
They were nice. We stayed in there's two dormitories. There's the men's dormitories and the women's dormitories, but during the summer it's just co-ed. So we all stayed together in the men's residence, and we got to meet a lot of the students that were like living there, taking summer classes. That was really nice. There's a little cafeteria downstairs and a gym, and pretty close to. Obviously, we could walk to our workplaces after we had our 3-week class. So it was very nice.
My parental instincts are kicking in at 6:03.
Yes. Thank you so much.
They're still on island time. It's crazy.
And I think building off of that point, by chance, I happened to be placed with a Puerto Rican roommate. And I wasn't sure how that was going to go at first, but he ended up just being like our friend and tour guide on the island, showed us his favorite spot in San Juan, and just kind of explained Puerto Rico to us from his experience, and that really deepened our experience on the island. An excellent counterpoint to like what we were doing in the workplace. There's also a cute dog. Yeah.
I call him Tripod because he has 3 legs, but
Yeah.
adorable.
They had a worse name for it.
Doki.
Anything else?
Yeah. How big? I know you had said that some people weren't here. How big was the pool?
Oh, they were 8. 8 total. Yeah.
So it's like very close knit. Like, would you guys say you guys bonded a lot?
I hate these kids. They're like the worst experience of my life. But nah, it's great. We all became really close. Like you really just go get a bond with everybody. Even if you're not working at the same place, you go back to the same dorm. You go out and do the same things. You get really close to these people, and it turns to a nice little, basically a little family there. It's really great.
And you also had faculty. They had faculty at Sagrado that kind of took care of them and made sure everything was okay. Right.
So they just, you guys just leave.
Yeah, they're not like on their own. There were people, adults, also faculty.
We're adults.
Yeah, true. Staff, faculty, I guess. All right, so I think if there are no other questions, we can just continue eating. And if you want to ask them questions, kind of like, you were invited to stay and stick around and keep talking amongst yourselves.
Just one quick announcement. We did receive a grant from the dean's office of $35,000, and we've committed all that money to having another summer experience in Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's
So we're very thankful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Comment over here.
You asked us to remind you about the pilgrimage.
Oh, yes. Just another general announcement. So one of the things that we've been doing here at the Institute for Latino Studies is promoting a Hispanic ministry initiative. As part of that initiative, we are going on a pilgrimage for justice to the border in El Paso. Free to students, on buses out of Chicago with community leaders in Chicago, ministry leaders in Chicago, and others. And it's to witness and accompany people who are having these experiences at the border. But the basic purpose is to have a day and a half teach-in, all day Saturday and half a day Sunday, to be able to understand what it is that's happening on the border. And we all know what all the major challenges are that are happening. If you go to the Institute for Latino Studies homepage, you'll see a registration page to list your name. We're trying to get a final count by Friday as to how many students are likely to go so that we can make all these arrangements. We pay for everything. We don't pay for your lost time in class. The bus leaves on Thursday, you get back, I think, early on Tuesday. So you have to make arrangements for the classes that you miss, but that's just what it means to go on a pilgrimage for justice.
What are the dates exactly?
Oh, I'm sorry, October 11th through 13th. So it's now the hardest part for Notre Dame students is that that's the USC game weekend. Okay. So since USC isn't doing that well, it's not that important. So you get to choose between cheering for our team or learning about social justice on the border. Your choice.
Yes, and if any of your teachers don't want to excuse you, say the mission statement says that learning is supposed to become service to justice.
So if you're at all interested in that, come talk to us. We'll tell you where to go to get information and things of that sort, but it's all on our website and also on the website of people from the Hope Border Initiative, which is a Catholic organization in El Paso that is one of the major service providers and advocacy groups for people who are being detained, for people who are being mistreated, for children who are separated from their parents. They've been in the middle of this from day one. That's their mission. That's their ministry. So we hope a number of you will join us when we get there.
I have a question about when you're leaving.
I believe it's Thursday.
So from campus or?
No, we're going to get you to Chicago. We will pay for you to go to Chicago. We'll arrange a bus. We'll put you on the airport or something of that sort. It depends on your schedule, but there's going to be a special mass and a special blessing by Bishop Chupich in Chicago for all the people from the Chicago area that are going, and then the bus will leave from there. So we're trying to work out that final timing and final logistics. But it's on Thursday. It's about a 25-hour bus ride. I can't do.
You'll bond with 25.
I can't do 25-hour bus rides anymore. But young people are very good, and you'll have places to stay once you're there as well. Food will be provided for you once you're there as well. There's no cost to the students. You get back on Tuesday.
Like, in the middle of the day Tuesday?
I don't know yet. I believe it's in the middle of the day.
Well, please one round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so